All right, we have something else to talk about, gamers. And it's pretty exciting. At least I think it is. Upcoming selection pack, Aerial Superiority. I think it's funny that it's only fusions on the announcement page. It looks kind of odd, but it's also kind of awesome because I like fusions. This upcoming Friday, we have finally confirmation of the pack that we are receiving. And this is a big one for a multitude of reasons. It's a big one because there's some pretty good stuff in here, but it's also a big one because it is the final pack that we are getting before the December Duelist Cup, of course. The Duelist Cup is happening in, I think at this point, 2.5 weeks. I mean, the final stage or second stage of the Duelist Cup is in 2.5 weeks. The Duelist Cup itself starts soon-ish, the first stage. And we're getting Dracotail. We're also getting Archmage, and we're getting Odeon. And I want to say, it's obviously everyone is focusing on Dracotail right now, and and we are gonna talk about Dracotail, but Odeon specifically is also a pretty good deck, especially in an environment with Max C involved. Like Odeon has been performing. We're going to take a look at that later as well when we're talking about the current OCG metagame. I do believe Odeon is still doing pretty well over there. And I could see Odeon really being a deck in Master Duel as well. So I don't want the Dracotail release to completely overshadow the fact that I think Odeon is also a pretty big deal, all things considered. But of course, Dracotail is the biggest deck in here, and I guess so far we don't have any information about any pre-hits to Dracotail, like if they're gonna release anything as limited or semi-limited. I would assume not, to be honest with you. And I'm pretty hyped for Dracotail, I'm not gonna lie. I also, Archmage as well is a pretty cool deck, but of course I'm talking from the experience from TCG and OCG. Unfortunately, I gotta say, I think Archmage is definitely the weakest out of the decks that we're seeing here, and I would be surprised if Archmage makes a huge impact on the metagame. I would be pleasantly surprised, but it is not to be expected that Archmage is going to make a huge impact. I know some people are looking forward to Archmage, and I think that's cool, and I also do like the deck. I think it is a cool archetype, but as of right now, I'm not sure if I'm expecting it to do much, which is why I'm more hyped for Odeon and Dracotail. Specifically, Dracotail is a deck that I expect to be super, super nice to have in Master Duel, and that's because of a multitude of reasons. Number one, it is a strong deck that is cool and fun to play, but even more importantly, and this is something that not a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh decks have these days. In my opinion, Dracotail is even pretty fun to play against. Even when they go first or even when they win, I think Dracotail usually offers pretty good gameplay. I know that is subjective, but I personally think that Dracotail is pretty fun to play against. And usually whenever Dracotail, at least in the TCG, whenever Dracotail was a huge part of the metagame, I had a pretty good time at tournaments because I would play against Dracotail a bunch and it was fun. I would lose to Dracotail sometimes, you know. I played a regional like 3 weeks ago or something where I played against like 4 or 5 Dracotails and I lost to 2 of them, which were the only losses I had all tournament. But it was still pretty fun. And I'm really looking forward to that. Especially considering that the Duelist Cup is right after, you know, like if you've never tryharded a Duelist Cup, you don't really understand how much it would mean to have a deck in the format that you actually like playing against throughout the 72 hours of the Duelist Cup. Like, it'd be awesome. So I really hope people are gonna like that Dracotail is gonna do well in Master Duel. Of course, there are some things that are gonna be different from the TCG. So number one, Max C is legal, which is good for Dracotail because Dracotail is actually pretty good into Max C. So like resolving like when you activate 5 mana or whatever and they Max C you, it's pretty easy to just summon once and pass turn, and you actually will have a pretty good board. So that's fine. On the other hand, if you don't play Dracotail and you play against Dracotail and they have Max C, Arthalion can add Max C back to their hand. So if you play a deck that hates to get Max C, which is most decks, playing against Dracotail when they have Max C is pretty rough. Also, there's some potential for retaliating C to see some play, and with Dracotail and Mitsurugi in the format, and that searches Max C, and that could be pretty annoying. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes, I guess. Fundamentally, I think Dracotail is a good addition to the format and a healthy addition. There is also Megistus, which is already out in Master Duel, so there might be Megistus versions of Dracotail. Possible, 100%. I'm not too experienced with those, but for the most part, I'm really looking forward to Dracotail as a deck for the upcoming Duelist Cup. And of course, we're gonna have a little bit of time, like 2 weeks until the second stage, but we're gonna do a lot of testing on stream. We're gonna try Dracotail in different variations. We're gonna try Odeon, and we're gonna try and see which kind of decks work. Most notably, I want to emphasize that I don't think Dracotail release will completely eliminate some of the other decks in the format, like because of the things I said earlier, because Dracotail is not as oppressive. I do think there's a realistic chance that decks like Mitsurugi Raziel, Gem Knights and stuff like that could still very well be better even than Dracotail. On a mat, there's definitely decks that can mess with Dracotail a lot. But if people are playing cards to counter those decks, like I'm looking at cards like Droll and Lockbird, I'm looking at cards like Molcharmi Fualos, Dracotail is really good into all of those cards. Fualos and Droll you basically don't care about with Dracotail, and I think that is also a pretty cool feature of the deck. But yeah, I'm really excited for Dracotail coming out this Friday, and it's probably the best deck in terms of my enjoyment to release before the Duelist Cup. I would have really liked to see Vanquish Soul as well without K9. It looks like we're getting Vanquish Soul later, not in time for this Duelist Cup. And I'm honestly, at this point, I'm a little afraid, I guess, but this is once again my subjective opinion. I enjoyed Vanquish Soul a lot before K9 came out. My prediction is, the way things are going right now is that they're probably likely to release Vanquish Soul with K9, because they're already starting releasing the Justice Hunters decks. So I could see that happening. I could see that they release Vanquish Soul with K9 together, and that will basically mean that they're probably going to have to hit something preemptively, because I don't think they're going to release full power VS K9 in Master Duel, and then they're probably going to, like, I don't know, limit Raisin or limit Holy Sue or something before we ever get to play pure Vanquish Soul, which is kind of a shame, but that's also just speculation. I don't know if that's the case or not. For now, looking forward to this Friday, because I think Dracotail is a pretty awesome addition to the game. Do you think Master Duel card pool is catching up with the TCG? At this point, okay, like the game has been out for almost 4 years now, okay? And if they wanted to ever be on the same release schedule, they probably would be by now, okay? So I think it's just a matter of they don't want the games to have the same card pool at all times. I think they just want to have it be a different format. I just think it's intentional at this point. It has nothing. For years we've been talking about, like, oh, maybe it takes a while to code these cards and other reasons that we potentially have for delaying stuff in mass. I think it's just what they want to do. It's just at this point something you have to come to terms with, is that Master Duel and TCG are two different formats. Which honestly, I've come to terms with that a long time ago, and if you have accept that, I think it's also a lot easier and it's a lot easier to accept if you just come to terms with that.